Hello and welcome back to the Whimsical Librarian. Today I'm taking a look at some of the books I am thinking about doing for my possible TBR for 2024. And I've come across a couple books that I got thinking that they would be great books and they're not so great. So a couple of the ones that I want to read this year are not ones I normally plan on reading. So all of my TBRs are possibilities. They're never a set in stone type of thing. Right now I'm still reading "'Tis the Season to Get Married" by J.P. Sterling, and I'm gonna tag her up here if I can. And I just want to shout out to her and thank her for all her help. I know there's other books I would like to read, but these are just seeming important to me to read. So I'm going to start with the one I just was reading about, and I normally pick like rom-coms and anything romantic and stuff like that. But I'm going to be reading a book by Sherry J. Ryan, The Doctor's Daughter. This one, it talks about back in 1941 when the Nazis invaded or occupied Poland, and a girl that fell in love with one of the inmates. So I'm going to be reading this book because it sounds really interesting. There's the ISB 9 number if you want to also do it. It's totally heartbreaking and completely unforgettable World War II historical fiction. I'm not normally like a historical fiction like World War II, but as it's coming about, it's coming, you know. And this is one of my most anticipated reads, and it's The Things to Do When It Rains. And I thought, oh, the things to do when it rains. It's just gonna be like the secrets, when secret tears love apart, can the truth mend it? I'm not going to go into any more of it, but I would say there's romance, there's secrets, and the reason why I was going to read it was I liked how each chapter started. So in one chapter it says, do something nice for someone else, even just a little thing. Sometimes on rainy days people feel sad. Let me find another one. Alex Bay is not always the most exciting in town in the world. My mother says she wishes I could cross that out. If it's raining and you're getting bored, take the train to a nearby town. A change of scenery might do you good. So I thought this was very interesting. I've never heard of this book before, but I am always looking for different things to do when it's raining, and I really like it. It says fans of Nicholas Sparks will adore Things to Do When It's Raining. So I'm excited about this book. When I first saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I could grab that one and I would like it. So that one is a little bit of everything I like. Another one I saw the other day was this one, and it looks really, really cute. All she wanted to do was shut out the world and pretend none of this had happened, but she couldn't. Suddenly, all choices had been taken from her, and she did not like what remained. Didn't like it at all. That's all I'm going to tell you about it. I have already read The Inner Peace, and I think it's going to be a very good read for winter. This is only a winter book, so this has to be a January book, I think. And so I'm trying to pick books that will align with like seasons, but also align with my heart. Excuse me. I'm still not over my cold, but I got new medicine yesterday, so that will help. And the last book that I see that I'm going to want to read, I might want more, so is Surviving Savannah by Patty Callahan. I read the back of this. I fell truly in love. If you've watched the Titanic, if you've done research on the Titanic, if you've if you're a Titanic lover, this would be a great book. I actually found this at the library as a free item. So I can't give you the ISB number, but oh my gosh, this is going to be good. And it's one that I actually feel that will make us think. So I'm trying to pick books that aren't just romantic or just not the simple things I try to find to read. So there's some purpose to these. The book I decided not to read was called Map from Here to There. And the reason I decided not to read it was because I don't want to be of the world. I want to be of the Word of God, and I want to be of God's joy and delight in Him. So I've chosen not to read this book, and I believe it would be a great book. I just don't think I want to read it. So I'm going to go over here to my library and start finding other ones. But I thought, if you've never started a TBR and you would like to start with, which means to be read in the year of 2024, start slow. Pick 5 books you really like, that you really bought, and you just know that they're going to be great books. So I'm going to have you join me over here in my little library, the whimsical library, I think, because I am its own librarian, and that's how I got its name. So I'm going to look here and try to pick a couple books that I absolutely want to read this year. One right off that I see is this one here. It's by T.I. Lowe, Under the Magnolias. So I'm trying to put my cart together so that when it's the first of the year, I have books that I have in mind. So this is one of them. Another one of them is, I just saw it a minute ago, I'm sorry. I try not to pick sappy ones because I don't want to cry a lot. But I am going to be doing, I'm going to start with this one. I'm not promising both of these this year. So I'm going to be doing The Lineage of Grace. The Lineage of Grace is about the women in the Bible. And I'm excited because it talks about Tamara, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary. So each woman's story includes a 6-part Bible study. So I'll be doing this through the year probably, because I doubt if I get to the second book, unless I say, okay, so January through May, I'm going to do this book. And then the next part, I do this. But I'm thinking more like next year, I'll do the Sons of Anarchy. No, Sons of Encouragement. I don't know where I got Anarchy at. And this one talks about Aaron and Caleb and Jonathan, Amos and Silas. So those are some of the books that I want to read. I was looking through all of my books here, and I'm like, I could really go deep with some of these books, but I have books that I have never even read that I bought. One of the series is called The Selection. Let me move my decorations here. This is why I did it right here, because I knew I'd never do it otherwise. This is the book of The Selection, and this is the first book. So there's The Selection, The Elite, The Wand, The Heir, and The Crown. So I would like to do this series. There was another book that I wanted to read, but I think I had to read book 1 before I can read that. And I don't remember the name of that book, but the second book is called The Shelter of the Most High by Connie Cassette. I know I'm probably not saying her last name right, but these are books that I want to read this year. And then, honestly, I don't normally pick books out in advance too far, because I don't want to say I want to read these and then totally change my mind. I am not one that will say, I guarantee you within 6 months I can read these books. I don't do that, because I can't do that. I don't know that my heart's going to be there. Like, maybe it's, yeah, I want to read these books, but maybe it's not that I really want to read those books, but they look interesting. So, pray for me that I make some good decisions. I will be reading a lot of Kindle this year. I say that because I have a ton of Kindle books that are in need of being read. Like, I have like 15 or 1800 books on Kindle that I need to read, and I've probably read 50 of them, maybe 100. I'm not a reader of like, let's see how fast we can read. I'm more of, let's read for the enjoyment. And so that's what I want to do, and that's how I want to work on that. I also want to work on my Becky Wade series. So those will be books in my, I'm sure they will be books in my thing, but they're clear down here and we're not going that far down. I feel like I'm missing a book here. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's just the decoration was covering it up. So we'll put the decoration back. And I do want to read Hello Stranger by Catherine Center, but I'm not quite there yet. So those are some books that I want to read. There are books that are faith-based that I want to read, and only faith-based because of I refuse to give up my faith for anything. I know that yesterday I went and I took a lot of my Christmas books and I removed them from the shelves because I'd already picked out my TBR for December. And because I did that, I decided that I was going to go and put them on their own bookshelf. So they are now currently on their own bookshelf, which means they're not taking up my space. I have 2 more books that I'm debating whether or not to read. The first book is one that I got. I don't know where I got this one at. I think I got it out of a little library, Ray Ann thing, and it's called The Path of Sunshine to Sunshine Cove. I think her books will be really good. I've got several of hers that I'd like to read, so she's a possibility. And I have never read a Colleen Hoover book. So there was a couple of Colleen Hoover books that I wanted to try, but the only one I was able to get my hands on, and I don't know that I'll read it, is, let me see how they say it, Veracity? I don't know. I don't know much about it, so I'm not saying I'm going to read it, but I would like to try to read new books. There's a book by Naomi Rollins that I really want to read, and it's called Written in the Mist, and it's a combination of like Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and I believe Little House on the Prairie. I'm very prairie people. I love prairie stories. I have a whole collection of Wanda Brunsetter's, which are Amish books, and I bought them hoping to read them, and I probably read 5 out of all of them, but I really am excited to get going and start planning out 2024. I've never done this before. I did do my reading log for last year, and I loved doing it. I loved decorating for it and everything, but I noticed that some of the things I did not follow through on. So this year I want to do a bingo page. I think I do. But currently the book I have for next year is this little Lichman. I might stick with it, but at least I'm planning it out right now. And so one of my goals is to read equal parts Kindle and paperbacks, and also to listen to 2 books a month on audio. Before I could get into reading again, I listened to a lot of books on audio, Read more books than you purchase. That's a goal for me for 2024. And try to read 36 books this year. This year so far, I've read 17 or 18. And I have a total of 24 I wanted to read. But I also want to read one faith book a month. I want to read the Bible chronologically. And I've been working on that through Bible Recap, and I can't think of her name, but it's called Heartstrings by Kanoe. I don't know if that's what it is, but anyhow, those are some of my goals. My TBR, the first one that was on my TBR is Under the Magnolias, which is probably exactly what I will want to read, because I bought that in the summer thinking I would read it, and I never did yet. So I've got many pages to just fill out here and see where I go. So I do have 40 books for my TBR because that is kind of my goal. So a couple things I put down here is because I didn't want to like just push myself. But after the 23rd book for next year, it says, when in doubt, go to the library. Like if I run out of options, go to the library. And another thing it says at the end of it all, it says, in the end, we all become stories. So it doesn't matter, you know, what we're doing, just becoming a story is who we are, you know, whether you're reading the book or you're about the person in the book. So I can't guarantee you I'm going to stick with this one because Blue and me sometimes go good and sometimes we just don't. So... So you'll soon know if I'm going to be reading this book or if I'm just going to put it in the do not read pile. I have a whole tote of books that are not on my library, and I need to go through and see if I want to read them or not. I would like to read as many books as possible, but I also want to read my Bible before anything else. So, and there's going to be days where I can't read. And maybe that's when I pick up a audiobook or listen to a book in the car, something like that. Tell me what you think of The Perfume Collector. Has anybody heard of this book? I haven't read the back of it yet. It looked interesting. My daughter's into perfume and stuff like that, so we are like tempted to read this, but we have not chosen this one yet. But I did, I had a Labiral Spencer, and that one is called Sweet Memories. And I bought that book specifically because when I was about my daughter's age, or maybe a little bit younger, because my mom had a horrible time getting me to read. So she let me start reading her books. And so I was allowed to read anything that was sweet and not mushy and, you know, all that good stuff. So one of them that I read was Sweet Memories by Labiral Spencer. This book has memories for me because I thought I was the biggest girl on campus. One of the books that I really want to read this year is Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility. I am very much a Jane Eyre fan. I'm also a Jane Austen fan because I always get those two confused, but I love both. So these are some of my books that I have chosen. Will they all become part of my TBR? I don't know, because I'm going to leave some room for